T-1 to episode 1000. It's Thursday, December 11th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This is show number 999, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Pick up a domain name for just $1.49, or get 30% off your next order. All my promo codes can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Hey, everyone, I got a great show lined up for you tonight, $9.99. If I can get through the intro, I think we'll be good to go. Here we come. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Showtime.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I'll welcome you to the show today. We're up and running with no problem. Just the host sticks his shoe in his mouth. But hey, everyone, welcome. And if you're brand new to the show, thanks for being here. Got a lot to cover tonight on the 999th episode, one more to 1,000. We're going to have a lot of fun on show 1,000. We're going to give a bunch of stuff away. We're going to award some awards to some longtime listeners of the show. And just reminisce a little bit. You know, we already did our 10-year show, so it's too bad 10 year and 1,000 couldn't have matched up exactly, but here we are, middle of December already to hit 1,000. Part of it's my fault, but that's the way the ball rolls here. But going to have a great show on the next episode, so I hope that you'll come and hang out with me live. We'll get started at 8 p.m. Honolulu Standard Time, 10 p.m. Pacific, or if you're really brave, 1 o'clock Eastern. I know there's some night owls out there. Please come and hang out if you want to on next Monday's show. We'll have a lot of fun together. And if you can't watch live, don't worry. You'll be able to catch a show later via, basically catching it the way you normally do. So here's the skinny. If you're brand new to the show, let's get the right button push. Good Lord. Get over to geeknewscentral.com and visit the website. You'll find right there on the second column, or the only column on the website, the iTunes link, the RSS feed as well. For those of you that are Android users, you can subscribe via BeyondPod is a great podcasting app to grab. There's also additional subscription options there. So, grab us on iTunes or just grab us via the normal RSS feed. Lots of great content. So we're going to start adding a few more writers to Geek News Central, so we'll have some ongoing content, additional content, because I think our bevy of current writers have slowed down just a little bit, so we'll probably re-engage and get some new folks on and get them moving here. But lots happening through the end of the year here. We've got preparation for the Consumer Electronics Show coming, and that's kind of got me right now. That's my focus over the next couple of weeks, because it's not going to be too long. I'm going to have to ship. I'll have to ship all the stuff to the show, and really it's right after the new year, hot and heavy for Vegas. But if you got comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can reach me on Twitter as well at Geek News. You want to definitely get subscribed to the newsletter. You can do that as well via the website at geeknewscentral.com. You can follow us on Google+, on Facebook, really just about everywhere social media is. And we definitely want you to follow us on those platforms as well, wherever you may hang out the most, and become part of our community. So, of course, tonight's sponsor, this show is sponsored by our good friends at GoDaddy.com. And GoDaddy's got some great deals for us, as always. And the promo codes that we had in November have rolled right into December. So it is time to get your shopping done, ladies and gentlemen. You'll definitely want to get some some domains, some hosting accounts for friends, family members, people that you know. This is kind of a cool gift. You pick them up a domain for their Christmas present. Maybe their name, maybe a derivative, maybe one of the new top level domains as well. You can get that for $1.49 using my promo code Geek149. Or if you want to give them a hosting account, heck, we got those starting at $1 a month, so you can't beat that for the first 12 months. And you get a free domain with a hosting account. So get someone started podcasting, blogging, putting their business online, whatever it may be. So there's all the codes there. Press 4 for $1 a month WordPress hosting. Geeks 12 for $1 a month economy hosting, again with a free domain. And 30% off. If you want to just go for the gusto and use my 30% off code, use the promo code GNC30. That's going to save you a lot of money. And I've been using that code myself here the last couple of days. Now, that $1.49.com, that is not a typo. That's the price. And don't know how long this is going to be around. So get them while they last. And get out there and pick them up. And, they're basically, for the first year, they're just giving away. And if you don't like the domain after a year, don't keep it. But I'm a hoarder of domains. I'm well over 200 again. And I kind of looking at the other day, I was like, how did we get there? And then I remembered, yes, we bought a bunch of Okinawa domains, which we have to deal with. But anyway, don't worry about that. But main thing is get over to geeknewscentral.com. The link to GoDaddy is on the website. The promo codes, of course, the banners on the website rotate as well with the different deals. So we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here of the show. And but I tell you, been a busy week. I just like I've been burning the midnight oil on really both ends. But one thing that came in the mail just the other day was the most important thing for our planning for Vegas. It's my Gold Lot Press parking permit. And you have no idea how hard these are to come by. This, when they say gold, it is worth its weight in gold. So when we're in Vegas the 5th through the 9th doing the show, we get Gold Lot parking. And I'm totally jazzed that had came in. And so, yes, very, very cool. So that, matter of fact, that needs to go in my bag. So or I'll forget it. Be one of those things like, honey, I need you to FedEx overnight that envelope that says CEA on the front of it. And, of course, then I will be indebted to her because I'll get the wrath of my wife for forgetting something. And that's not a good thing, fellas. You know how that is. So to go into my travel bag now. All right, so let's just go through a little bit of the stack here. One thing you guys can't see, maybe can. Let me get the right camera. On the last episode, I talked about having challenges with the audio recorder, and that situation has been resolved. The Sweetwater Creation Station arrived. Surprising, it was running on Windows 8. Jack, you'll be happy to know that, yes, there is a Windows 8 machine here being actively used and recording the show, but when I turned the machine on, I was kind of like, is it running? This thing is ultra quiet. Now, that's why I paid a little extra money for it. I think the grand total, and again, it's a machine that you could probably buy off the shelf for $600-700, but they put all this noise dampening in it and everything else, and it's absolutely silent. So that was about $12.99 or something like that. But cruising fine. Had no issues tonight. No pulling my hair out as I was getting ready to start the show, which was fantastic. And it's up and running, and it was actually probably one of the most painless. It really, to be honest with you, I was just like, man, a breath of fresh air. So now the studio, we have no excuse. Brand new desktop, brand new Mac Pro, brand new Creation Station. Now, as long as the Mac Minis don't start acting up, we'll be okay. But so far, no more computers this year, please. The budget absolutely can't help it. It was already impacted negatively to begin with. But anyway, that's it on that stuff. You guys don't want to hear more about that, but it is up and running. My solar install, I am jazzed. The electricians came and did the interconnect, And when I got home, the power meter was running backwards. Matter of fact, they saved the pleasure to me. They had to flip the switch on, and within about 2 minutes of the system being turned on, the meter started rolling backwards. And I took a picture of the meter and the kilowatt hours it was at upon turn on. And when I got home this afternoon, the meter was, and it wasn't a great day for sunshine here in Hawaii. So 2 days, the system has been up running fully, and I'm already 13 kilowatts ahead. So I'll be curious to watch how this flow goes over the next month or so. I'm going to be watching on the weekends and all that stuff. And of course, the weather has a lot to do with. Of course, in Hawaii, yes, we have a winter here. I know y'all are laughing, but just it's more rainy and cloudy and there's not as much sunshine. But it still made money today. It took kilowatts off the dial, which is that's the goal. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're up and running. And I did a little video. I put it up on Facebook. You can tell I'm a little excited about it. And so anyway, if you haven't seen that, just definitely check out my Facebook page, and you'll see the video. It got a lot of views. I'm surprised that video got that many views on Facebook and some comments as well. And of course, the rundown of how much the system cost and everything else, and the breakouts on tax rebates is all on geeknewscentral.com. It's 2 or 3 articles down now since it was from the weekend. But anyway, that's it. So let's go ahead and move on. We got a lot of content to talk about tonight. And on the next show, there is going to be tech. We are not going to not talk about tech news on the next show. We will take a little extra time at the beginning of the show to give some stuff away and throughout the show. So you don't want to just leave after the first 15 or 20 minutes of the show on the 1,000th episode. And that's just, if I think about that, it makes my brain hurt just a little bit, to be honest with you. I almost want to start counting over one, because I'm going to have to say 1,001. 1,000. It's kind of like, okay, been there, done that. So, dude, why don't we start over? But anyway, it should be a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys will come hang out. And don't worry, if you listen later, you'll still have a chance to win. You just got to listen to win, okay? And we're going to get some cool stuff off. Hey, I want to welcome a new contributor to the show, Nigel, for his big kahuna contribution. Way to go! Way to go, Nigel. Thanks for coming in and stepping up. I do appreciate it. And that's a good one. I mean, if we could get about 100 more of those, that we could really do some crazy stuff here with the show, folks. We really could. So definitely thank Nigel for that, and I hope you're here for a long time with that contribution level. Wait till you see, Nigel, what 2 of our longtime benefactors are going to get on the next episode. You're going to be stoked when you see this thing. Everyone's going to want one. Okay, you really, really are. You're going to want one in a big, big way. So we'll keep you advised. We'll show it on the next show. Okay. Okay. So again, thanks, Nigel, for becoming an insider. geeknewscentral.com/insider. All right, let's go ahead and get into the tech content tonight. Let me save that and close that out. All right, and I can probably, yes, Todd, you can minus that, and we'll bring up the big browser here. And getting used to the 4K monitor finally, just a little bit. It's taken some time to get everything figured out, but I do want to, Hawaii provided California a present, right? The Pineapple Express. We didn't necessarily want to fix California's drought situation in like 24 hours, but holy smokes, are they getting some rain or what? And I know we've got a bunch of wahana in California, and stay safe and seek high ground and stay away from the areas where potential mudslides. But yeah, this Pineapple Express is where there's basically a band where the moisture is pushed from the Hawaiian Islands and in and around the Hawaiian Islands all the way to the West Coast. And this doesn't happen very often, but when it does, man, it just unloads. It's taking all that moisture out of the ocean and basically shoved it westbound or eastbound, and then just dumped it when it comes over the coast. That's why San Francisco and so forth has gotten so much rain here in the last day or so. But stay dry if you can out that way. All right, so let's first of all, I found this on someone linked this on Facebook, and I was like, oh man, wait till you see this. Now, how many of you have got one of those Keurig coffee machines? I do not. I don't have a Keurig coffee machine, and I'm trying to push a couple buttons here. Yeah, it's one of those things that we have gotten to the point where the coffee we drink, we do. I have a buddy that roasts beans, so he'll roast beans for us. We have a grinder, and we basically drink pretty fresh coffee here. And we don't often just go to Costco and buy beans, but I got a friend who can get stuff from Real Kona Coffee, and we buy it by the pound, and it's pure, and so I'm really kind of spoiled, really am when it comes to coffee. And be honest with you, you guys may not know this, but I'm trying to make a page smaller here, and it's changing both of them. That sucks. I never drank a lot of coffee in my early days, and when I was in the Navy, just didn't appeal to me that much. But after I retired from the Navy, it just seems like all of a sudden I've built this affinity to drinking more coffee, and really, good or bad, I've tried to replace my soda, my caffeine intake, which I used to drink soda. Man, Mountain Dew in the morning was the best thing going, and I've tried to replace that with coffee, and and not necessarily with a bunch of junk in it too, to the offset in calories, but it definitely have to have my coffee fix now. I've been on a 10-day binge for no coffee with my weight loss plan, and I'm down about 9 pounds this go around. So tomorrow I come back and I'm on a regular food plan tomorrow. But hope those of you that were with me on the post Thanksgiving kind of cleanup were with me and had a good time and lost some weight. And we'll see if we can continue the trend here, because I'm coming off this post 10-day, and I'm going to be really watching the calorie count. But anyway, Keurig has a machine that requires you to use their cups, and it basically was a way for them to get more money out of you. And it's just like ink for printers. Their machine, though, people have been looking for a way to beat it, and it has been found. The Keurig 2.0 hack is so incredibly simple. When you see it, you're all going to laugh. Now, if any of you've got one of these machines and like to buy coffee from different vendors, but like the Keurig machine in particular, it's basically trimming a cup lid and taping it to the sensor portion of the unit, and it just beats it. So I'm sure they are not going to be happy about this. And of course, when the company did this, they had issued some crazy statements talking about the DRM was critical for performance and safety reasons. It really wasn't. It was so that they could protect their coffee sales. So now we've got the ability to bypass the DRM on Keurig coffee machines. So if you've got one of these in your office, a 2.0 version, you'll definitely want to take advantage of that if you so desire. When you see the video, you're gonna laugh. I'm thinking, why didn't someone figure that out already? But anyway, link will be up in the show notes for you to check out. The FCC today really stepped up the game here. The FCC today basically announced that what they consider to be minimum amount of speed to be defined as broadband is 10 megs. So internet service providers that use government subsidies to build rural broadband networks must provide speeds of at least 10 megs down and 1 megs up for the Federal Communication Commission to basically authorize them to get that cash. So this is an increase reflecting marketplace and technology changes that have occurred since the FCC set its previous requirement of 4 megs down and 1 megs up in 2011. So this action affects only broadband networks paid for by the Connect America Fund, which comes from a surcharge we all pay, basically primarily by phone customers. So the FCC's definition is changing here. They're not happy about it. But let's be honest, rural America should not be left behind. And left behind those of us that live in big cities. I'm fat, dumb, and happy here with my broadband. 105, 55 on 2 different connections. And we're good. And I'm pushing 3 live streams right now, 2 on one connection, 1 on the other. And everything's holding tight. This is the way it's supposed to be. And but the FCC plans to offer about $1.8 billion a year to carriers to expand services to 5 million rural Americans. And so carriers will also receive 6 years of support instead of 5. And so this is a big deal for rural America. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's based because if you have any family members that live in rural America, you'll know the pain that they go through in internet connectivity. It just sucks for them. And I'm willing to, pay that penalty on the, on the phone bill in order to make sure that they are able to be, start to catch up a little bit. But if they can get them 10, what that really does is it's going to mean that they're going to be able to get them more. If they have to put the infrastructure in to get them 10, and then there will be more speeds that are definitely going to be potential. At the meeting at the FCC today, about a dozen protesters calling on the FCC to pass net neutrality rules disrupted the commission's meeting. Protesters shouting and carrying signs interrupted the beginnings of the meeting of commissioners, and so they were in there screaming and yelling and shouting, and they were all escorted out of the building. Some of the signs said, "We're asking for our Title II consideration. Keep the net neutral." That was some of the signs were up there. One of them says, "Do what the president says. Keep the net neutral." One protester apologized for interrupting the FCC meeting, saying this is a very important issue for the American people. So Wheeler had to briefly halt the meeting to address the students attending the meeting, and he basically said, "Hey, you've just seen the First Amendment at work." He says this is what the country is all about. So anyway, first set of announcements seem to be good. We'll see where it goes on the net neutrality piece. Well, at the same time, the MPAA is preparing to bring pirate site blocking to the United States. The MPAA is in discussions with the major movie studios over ways to introduce site blocking in the United States. Now, we know that SOPA failed in a big way, and there was a huge backlash. So site blocking has become one of the go-to anti-piracy techniques for the music industry and movie industry. Mechanisms to force ISPs to shut down subscriber access to infringing sites are becoming widespread in Europe, but have not yet gained traction here in the United States. So if the SOPA had been introduced, U.S. blocking regimes might already be in place. But we know that the legislation was stamped down in 2012 following basically everyone and their brother screaming about this thing. But what happened is the MPAA and its major studio partners last year really started to consider what their options were for reintroducing the site blocking agenda. So today, the MPAA is looking at 4 key areas. DMCA. According to, and this is an article over in Torrent Freak, according to Torrent Freak sources familiar with the plan, the MP plans on exploring the possibility of attaining a DMCA 512J blocking injunction without first having to establish an ISP is also liable for copyright. Rule 19 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. So now what this is Rule 19 is also under consideration as a way to obtain a blocking injunction against an ISP. In common with the DMC option detailed above, the MPAA hopes that the blocking order might be attained without having to find an ISP liable again for any wrongdoing. That's what they're trying to do. Is they're not trying to go after the ISPs and trying to sue them. They're trying to find a way to do this, get it shut down without having to sue the ISPs. So another group that they're trying to go after or use is, among other things, they're trying to go to the United States International Trade Commission, and the MP has been examining two scenarios. The first involves site blocking orders against transit ISPs, i.e. those that carry data infringing content across U.S. borders. The second envisions site blocking orders against regular ISPs to stop them from providing access to rogue sites. Again, the same law firm was asked for its expert opinion. In summary, its lawyers found that Scenario 1 presented significant technical hurdle. Scenario 2 might be feasible, but first ISPs would have to be found in violation. So again, this infringement that they want to avoid is something that's covered in the DMCA Act. It's called Section 337. And Section 337 basically it's about intellectual property and infringement and unfair competition and so forth. So that's another option. Now, another thing they're looking at is the Communication Act. Details on the final MPAA option involves the Communication Act and how it's perceived by the FCC and the Supreme Court. This scenario balances on the MPAA stance that ISPs have taken the public position that they are not telecommunication services. When the position of the ISPs and opinions of the FCC and Supreme Court are combined, the MPAA wonders whether the ISPs could become vulnerable. The scenario used under discussion is which ISPs are not eligible for safe harbor as DMC 512 conduct. Basically, right now ISPs are safe for anything that goes in between them because they don't monitor the traffic, right? Now they're trying to change that. So this is big. In what they're trying to do here, they're trying to go after a four-pronged approach. So going back to June, the MPAA chief and former U.S. Senator Chris Todd praised pirate site blockades as one of the most important anti-piracy measures, and in August, a leaked draft revealed MPAA research on the topic. The big question now is whether the studio's achievements in Europe will be mirrored in the United States without a SOPA to make it happen. So I'm sure all of us are going to be battling any of these type of activities that they're trying to attempt and getting sites shut down. We're going to talk about a site that got raided and shut down, maybe for a different reason here in a few minutes. Ford made a big announcement. They've dropped Microsoft. So Ford Sync 3 drops Microsoft, puts My Ford Touch out to pasture. So this is big. With version 3, it's been completely rebuilt from the ground up, and this is huge. Now, Ford, My Ford Touch had some issues before, and it was largely because of the operating system it was on. And so we've seen in-vehicle entertainment has changed dramatically. If you've bought a new car vehicle, we know that systems are being launched and upgraded and so forth. But, we know Apple and Google are wading into the game with their own products called CarPlay and Android Auto, respectively. So we'll see where this goes. With Sync 3, Ford is raising the game here. Ford will support both Android Auto and CarPlay eventually, but for now it's hoping to stem the tide by introducing a completely new version of the Sync system. In partnership with Microsoft, they were trying to make that happen before, but it just was too many issues. But now check this out. The BlackBerry low-level QNX operating system provides the foundation of the new Sync 3. So they're kind of an interesting move. So the concept for Sync remains the same. However, smart functionality in all cars, not just expensive ones, and they're focused on Sync always being a mainstream product. Raj Nair of Ford said. Now, I've met Raj before, and this is a interesting move by them, and this change out. It really, really is. So, but 95% of all Ford sold in the United States this year had a Sync system of some sort on board, and more than 10 million Sync-equipped cars have been sold already. None of them, sadly, will be able to run the new version of Sync, which will debut in the 2015 and 2016 model year cars. But sometimes, people just need to cut their losses, and that's where they're at on this. So we'll definitely be looking at this more. It looks like we're going to be Geek News Central is going to be sending someone to the Detroit Auto Show. So we'll have someone there reporting on that there. We'll be covering this, of course, at the Consumer Electronics Show as well. So we'll get both perspectives from both events. Ford asked me to come out to Detroit immediately following CES on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. But I just, after going to be in Vegas for 10 days, it's just not going to work out. I'm going to have to get back here and take care of some other business. But we've already talked to a few of our Geek News Central writers, and I think we're going to have one of them that's agreed to go out to Detroit and fare the cold, but go to the auto show. And it's a good deal because hotel, food, wine, dine, the whole 9 yards by Ford for those 3 days. Google made a big splash today. Google has basically removed all news coming out of Spain out of Google News, and it's because of it's going to happen on the 16th, and this is because at the beginning of the year there's going to be a new law put in place that basically says that anyone that carries news from Spanish news agencies have to be, if they carry it, they got to pay a tax. And so now what's going to happen here is Google's basically saying, sorry, we're not paying a tax to link to content that's on your own websites. So they're going to strip all news out of Spain. This is big. This is big. And as one media exec points out, the true Google tax will happen when a lot of those media firms have to turn to paid Google AdWords to compensate for losses derived from the absence in Google News. One way or other, it will happen, and it will be very fun to watch it. So they're like, wow. So now, if these folks want to be found, if these news agencies want to be found by Google, they're going to have to pay to be found. So we'll see what happens with this. But this copyright law is pretty hefty, and Google said we're not playing the game. News. Wowza. Big hit there. Now, something, too, that snuck across my desk today, and it comes from a site I haven't been to before. It's called the freethoughtproject.com. And apparently there was some language in a bill giving police unlimited access to U.S. citizens' private communications. And as it's being reported by, let me get the senator's quote here. Representative Amash, and I don't know where's he from, Congressman Justin Amash, stated that when he learned that the bill was being rushed to the floor for a vote, he asked his legislative staff to quickly review the bill for unusual language. What he said next should raise flags for every American citizen. He claims what his staff discovered was one of the most egregious sections of law I've ever encountered during my time as a representative. It grants the executive branch virtually unlimited access to the communications of every American. So it's apparently in Section 309 of the Intelligence Reauthorization Bill. This is one the House has never considered. Section 309 authorizes the acquisition, retention, and dissemination of non-public communications, including those to and from U.S. persons. The section contemplates that those private communications American obtain without a court order may be transferred to domestic law enforcement for criminal investigations. To be clear, Section 309 provides the first statutory authority for the acquisition, retention, dissemination of U.S. persons' private communication obtained without legal process, such as a court order or subpoena. The administration currently may conduct such surveillance under claim of executive authority, such as EO 12333. However, Congress never approved of using executive authority in that way to capture and use Americans' private telephone records, electronic communications, or cloud data. So this is from the senator. He goes on to say supporters of Section 309 claim this provision actually reins in the executive branch power to retain America's private communications. It is true that Section 309 includes exceedingly weak limits on the executive's retention of Americans' communications, with many exceptions. The provision requires the executive to dispose of Americans' communications within 5 years of acquiring them, although, as the HPSCI admits, the executive branch already follows procedures along those lines. In exchange for the data retention requirements that the executive already follows, section that is no way for Congress to address the sensitive private information of our constituents, especially when we are asked to expand our government's surveillance powers. So it's House Resolution 4681 is where this is stuck in. So anyway, I'll let you guys go in and look that up yourself, but that came from the Free Project, the Free Thought Project.com. The JPEG, moving on here, the JPEG image format has been around for a long, long time. But Fabrice Bellard, the creator of FFmpeg, QEMU, and JS Linux, is proposing a new image format that could replace JPEG. It's called BPEG, BPG. For the same quality, files are about half the size of their JPEG equivalent. He released with Source as well as a JavaScript decompressor and set up a demo including the famous Lena image. So basically, this guy has built or have encoded a new image format called BPG that he's proposing. This will probably get some traction. This guy's pretty well known in the space, but I'll have the link up in the show notes for that. Microsoft also in the news today, quietly started accepting Bitcoin as a payment method. So this has got to be a first. Microsoft's website reveals that Redmond Giant is now accepting Bitcoin as a payment method for products and services on Windows, Windows Phone, and Xbox. Currently, the payment must go through to credit a Microsoft Wallet account, and the service is initially only available to U.S. users. But the wording on the new page combines with an expansive year for Microsoft and a number of positive statements from about Bitcoin from Bill Gates. So this is big. So, of course, Microsoft is now the largest commercial entity accepting Bitcoin, which it processes via the BitPay system, thus protecting the company from fluctuations in the value of a Bitcoin. Some words out of Apple that the Apple Watch is said to be back on track for mass production in January. So apparently breakthroughs have been made in the number of successful yields for the watch's displays and processors. This came out of Taiwan United Daily News. Of course, rumors have flown back and forth as to when the watch would actually enter actual production stage. So that's good. And of course, they're saying that it will launch in the spring of 2015 for $349. So we'll see where this actually falls from a time frame. All right, let's move on here. Sony hackers. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This continues to get worse. The FBI is saying that the Sony hackers could have slipped past 90% of Sony's defenses. 90% of most companies' defenses. The malware that thoroughly penetrated Sony Pictures Entertainment was so sophisticated, it likely would have worked against 9 out of 10 security defenses available to companies today. So these comments were made under oath Wednesday by Joseph Demarest, Assistant Director of the FBI Cyber Division, and they talked about, if Sony should be held accountable and so forth, but basically the FBI is saying there's not a lot Sony could have done. So, of course, Sony's movie division is believed to have exposed to more than 100 gigabits of data not only unreleased movies, but of course everything else that's come out. So this is big news. If they're actually using a denial of service attack to try to shut down the servers where this media is at, that tells me that they have went to great lengths to shut this down. At the same time, Sony has basically came out and had to apologize to the president for something that was pretty nasty in one of the emails of one of their executives. We've all been entertained over the last couple of days about stuff that's been in the because they basically released the CEO's entire email inbox, and boy, they've been going through all the folks have been going through all that stuff. Can you? You just think about that for a second. Think about the company you work at today. And not only your communication, but your bosses, your directors, the CEO, all that stuff swooped up. And think about all that being just put on the internet for consumption, including your email. What you have written in email to public scrutiny for everyone to see? It just kind of makes me go, whoa, because, strategy emails, talking about competitor emails, complaining about people emails, all this stuff is the stuff that's being released. They talk about Angelina Jolie, about how spoiled brat she was, directors fighting, drama about the Jobs movie. It just goes on and on and on. But they're not going to stop releasing the flick where they're, basically trying to off the North Korean leader. So maybe more will come of it. I don't know. But again, Sony's fighting the spread of stolen data by using bad seed attacks on torrent services, which is crazy in itself. Now, Sony employees are basically saying, hey, we're in the dark. Now, one person said every communication between upper management and the rest of us has been carefully couched in wording that very much emphasized Sony Pictures' innocence and the actress, every producer, film, grip, writer, all their emails have now been exposed, telephone numbers. You just think about what's in your email, right? So, crazy. Sony has offered every current and their dependents and former employees basically identity theft protection. And like I said, they're not going to stop the release of the movie, the interview. One other thing that we've heard is that part of the reason the Pirate Bay was taken down was maybe because there were so many Sony files being seeded through it. It is an incident. It is a coincidence, but we know that the Pirate Bay's been taken offline. Their servers were raided once again, but some of the movie files stolen from Sony Pictures was on the Pirate Bay. Does Sony have that kind of juice to make the Swedish authorities kick the door in? I don't know, but maybe. Maybe they upped their, their attack plan, or when they were going to take that down. Another thing, too, that never made the news, but Iran apparently early in the year hacked the Sands Hotel, causing over $40 million in damage. So Sony, I guess, isn't the only company to face a cyber attack, but the attack seems to have been provoked by the speech of Sands CEO Sheldon Adelson, made the previous October. Adelson had a staunch defender of Israel and had advocated for stronger threats of nuclear attacks against Iran, going so far as to suggest detonating a nuclear bomb in the Nevada desert as a warning of what could happen if Tehran continues its nuclear program. In response, the attackers left a message on the company's servers. Encourage the use of weapons of mass destruction under any condition is a crime. The note was signed from the anti-WMD team. They also took down the company's website, replacing it with a photograph of Adelson and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So they think this attack was state-sponsored by the Iranian government. So it's just going to be more and more and more of this kind of stuff, folks. There really is. Okay, switching topics a little bit. How many of you still have a Windows Phone? How many of you ever had a Windows Phone? I only know one or two people that actually have Windows Phone. When I see one, I'm shocked. I always say, wow, you got a Windows Phone? Well, a lot of people that are Windows diehard users are failing, and they're basically giving up on Windows Phone. There's a good article over on The Verge talking about how folks are either going back to Android or iOS, and they feel that the Windows Phone is basically DOA. So love to hear you guys' thoughts on any of these topics tonight. geeknews@gmail.com. One thing I know about doing this show, and I'm not drinking Red Bull, I'm going to have to caffeinate before the show. I do this show so late. I usually need a shot of caffeine, so I know it's not good for you. But you guys got to remember, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I do this show at 8 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. I'm lucky I can even talk. Sometimes I don't think I can, to be honest with you. All right, iPhone 6 Plus ready to fly with United Airlines. United is giving iPhone 6 Plus smartphones to 23,000 flight attendants in a major enterprise rollout of Apple's big screen device. The airline said it would distribute the handsets to staff during the second quarter of 2015. And basically, when you're on United, they're going to have an iPhone 6 to basically swipe your credit card to pay for your food and your drinks and everything else that goes along that they're making us pay for on the aircraft right now. Also, they're going to have tablets for the pilots, and there'll be stuff tied into their enterprise system as well. So, one thing I'll tell you about United, if you go on a United flight and they have one of these Wi-Fi entertainment systems, you definitely want to be an iOS user. They're not really good in supporting Android. At least they weren't the last flight I had. They're definitely an iPad or iPhone or iOS camp at this point. The number of movies you can watch on an Android device on a United flight has been really sadly supported. And I know it makes a lot of people angry. I hear people arguing about it every time I fly. All right, Google made Amazon pull the App Store hidden in its app. So earlier this year, Amazon updated its official app in the Google Play Store and snuck in a direct link to its own App Store at the same time. And previously, users who wanted to use the Amazon App Store had to sideload the app, a process that's less tech-savvy users were likely to be familiar. But this update let anyone install Amazon apps from the Google Play Store and start buying apps through it, and they shut it down. So the Amazon app's been updated. That link is no longer there. Scientists suggest that Earth's water didn't come from comets as was previously thought. The Rosetta data suggests that most of Earth's water may have come from asteroids, since asteroids' characteristics are similar to those of Earth's water, and asteroids are close to Earth. The researchers also found that the water on Comet 67P, Germansko, oh my God, where the Rosetta Phila lander touched down in November, isn't like the water on Earth. It has similar physical properties to H2O, but it's heavier in mass. Okay, someone want to explain that? It's similar to H2O, but it's heavier in mass. So, all right, does that mean we can drink it or not? The scientists haven't ruled out the possibility that Earth's water is from comets, though. Comet 67P and another comet, Hartley 2, are the only comets whose water has been studied so far, and the water on Hartley 2 appears to be exactly the same as Earth's. Well, so you say it didn't come, but now you say it can? You're like contradicting yourself in this report. So anyway, I'll link it up. It's from the BBC. All right, Congress bill passes. Okay, we already talked about that. Let me grab a shot of H2O here as we were talking about it. Okay, so wet the whistle here. We already talked about the Spanish news going off Google. But one thing that is interesting is Microsoft has added native MKV support to Windows 8.1. Now, one of the more annoying features of Windows 8 and 8.1 has long been the lack of support for MKV files. Now, MKV is one of the most flexible container formats, and a lot of people thought that the reason that they didn't support MKV was because a lot of MKV files are on pirate sites. So maybe they're finally making this available. I don't know, but they're finally making it available as a native support in Windows 8.1. So be aware of that if you go out and you're downloading media files off a torrent site or so forth. All right, Apple is having another battle with iOS 8 developers. One of the apps that I even use is called Transit. It's an FTP program that lets you save files to iCloud Drive. And it's basically, that was a new ability of it in iOS 8, and it basically was pulled for a couple of days. But Apple has reversed course and saying that Transmit can still push media instead of just pulling. A little bit of challenge going on, but if you use pCalc, it's a calculator app that looks a lot like the native iOS calculator. Drafts is a writing app that included buttons and an accompanying widget. Launcher, an app that makes it easier to launch apps from the notification center, were all basically removed from the App Store. They found some sort of violation, but it looks like the war continues, and sometimes Apple pulls apps that look just like theirs, and not surprising. All right, Microsoft is offering 100 albums absolutely free, so if you love music, you should definitely check out the Microsoft Music Deal application. It was launched back in October with 101 albums priced at $1.99 or less to celebrate the launch of Taylor Swift's new album, 1989, launched on the app for just 99 cents. For a limited time as a promotion, it goes to show the company works hard to bring music lovers over to its app, and its latest promotion is going to just do that. Microsoft is offering 100 albums absolutely free through the app. There's something for everyone in the 100 albums. So whatever you are, a U2 fan, Amian, Kanye West, Lady Gaga, those are all albums that are available at no cost. Some of the albums being offered also include Dr. Dre, which is kind of cool. The Marshall Mathers, LP2 by Eminem, Unapologetic by Rihanna. So again, there's going to be a number of, if you get signed up for this, again, you have to grab the Microsoft Music Deals application and get your free albums. If you live in Iowa, you're going to be able to use your smartphone to show your driver's license. So sometime in 2015, Iowa will become the first state to offer an official app from the state's Department of Transportation that can serve as your driver's license and ID. This is pretty incredible. Smartphones won't be replacing driver licenses in Iowa. That would require everyone to have a smartphone. Instead, Iowa DOT Director Paul Trombino says that the state will offer an identity vault to supplement citizens' physical driver's license cards. The app will be secured with a PIN and will complement the electronic proof of insurance that's already allowed in Iowa and over 30 states. So it's basically your license on your phone. Very, very cool. Question is, will they let you use it at a bank? Is it going to be able to be hacked? People be able to just take a picture of a driver's license and show it. How are they going to implement it? That's the question I have. All right, Chromecast guest mode lets anyone commandeer your TV. This is a new feature. So with the number of content providers that keep coming on board with Chromecast, the next big step for Google is making the device a bit easier to use. Case in point, today marks the launch of ultrasonic pairing, otherwise known as guest mode. All you need to do is enable Google Streaming Stick, connect to a nearby device, and voila, you're good to go. Limited currently to Android devices only, okay, for guest mode. Google's Earth new imagery, pretty nice, pretty nice. They've done some modification. This is not the new imagery they're getting from the satellite, but this is new imagery that they've reprocessed somehow. So it's an improved 3D algorithm. So definitely, link will be up in the show notes. You can see the difference. It almost looks cartoonish, to be honest with you, but I'll let you guys be the judge of it. All right, let's see here. The SharePoint, is it called SharePoint? I'm probably calling it the wrong thing here. Let me Google it real quick. SharePoint probably is. Is it by Citrix? Let me do a Google here. Oh, that's my share. Oh, is it share file? A SharePoint. Yeah, SharePoint. Is that it? Oh man, I'm sorry, but anyway, I saw a Citrix product that was, basically trying to compete with these cloud storage services, and they allowed document signatures and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it was crazy expensive. What are you guys using right now? I use Google Docs a lot. What are you guys using online right now in your enterprise that you're working with? What kind of a system are you using to share files in the cloud? How's that going? Are you guys using DocuSign or what's the product that you're using? Love to hear from you on what you're using. Just kind of get a rundown. But the Citrix product was pretty robust. I'll say that much. Dish is finally going to let you restart live content on your Hopper, so that's good news. So if you have a live event going on, live show, you can restart that. That's one thing that they're going to keep, and not, they're going to stop you from skipping commercials, but you can restart the program. Also, Apple is announcing that they're requiring basically anything that carries the Made for iPhone licensing program. The case makers are going to have to support a 1 meter drop. So they're basically saying they got to drop from a meter to meet new environmental standards, and they have a certain rules on how they're supposed to be dropped. Basically includes protection of the device in any orientation, including the usual exposed cover glass on the device. But they say it's got to be able to support a 1 meter, 3.2 feet fall, and if it doesn't, it can't have the case stuff. Well, does that include Microsoft's case? Because I don't think their case would support a 1 meter fall, to be honest with you. Their case sucks. I don't know if we talked about this in the last show or not, but the United States Navy sent laser cannon warship to the Persian Gulf. It's on the USS Ponce. There is a cool video of it doing its thing, and this one isn't shooting a drone down. This one is actually going after ordnance. And when you see this, you're going to understand the implications and how it would be employed. But the link will be up in the show notes. Couple of last articles for you tonight. And it's one that's completely bizarre. Did you know that chickens are closely related to dinosaurs? Well, there's some articles out about that. I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm not going to provide you the link. I just thought that would give you a little trivia question. Of course, if you look at a chicken, they are kind of got that face, right? You think about a big one, it would kind of look like a dinosaur a little bit. Last couple articles. That one's not an article. That's just a web page. That one too. Is that all I had? Oh, I'm going to share with you one thing here. In Hawaii, the state is going to be measuring internet speed with white boxes. Now, this is kind of interesting. There's a new project called the Measuring Broadband Hawaii Project, and it will collect hard numbers on how well Hawaii's internet service providers are servicing their customers. The project is the latest phase of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs' ongoing broadband initiatives, following on the heels of the Hawaii Broadband Map Project. That earlier phase called on Hawaii residents to voluntarily report their internet speeds. While useful, participants were self-selecting and not necessarily representative of most broadband customers. So now, the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs is now looking for volunteers who will let them go straight to the sources for concrete network performance information. The Measuring Broadband Hawaii project will involve volunteers installing a small modified router at their location that will constantly measure their up speed, latency, and other aspects of the internet connection. The DCA notes it will only take measurements when the network is idle, and emphasizes the hardware does not look at packets, content, or other information about what the volunteer is doing on the network. Would you let this be hooked up in your house? Volunteers will have real-time access to information on the performance of their internet service which may be a good incentive to participate. Indeed, the Measuring Broadband project is part of a national collaboration with the FCC and one objective to compare actual internet speeds delivered to the speeds advertised by providers. Fortunately, Hawaii's two largest local internet service providers, Oceanic and Hawaiian Telecom, are working with the state on this initiative. So that's good. Good for them. So we'll see if they can really make it happen. Hey, one thing, if you like the show tonight, definitely think about giving me a review on iTunes. I would appreciate that. If there was something about the show that you hated, send me an email. But we definitely appreciate any feedback on the show, geeknews at gmail.com. Let me see if we had anything come in for email. Today is the 11th. My God, this is just, next thing you know, it's going to be Christmas, right? Okay, what did I have? I had something there. Let me bring that back up. Oh, why is that in that folder? That's weird. That Westinghouse CES meeting should be up in another folder. I don't know how that ended up down there, but no emails. You guys didn't love me this time around. It's okay. It's cool. Thank you guys so much for... what did I get from Jim Williams? He says, this firehouse light bulb has been shining since 1910. Okay. So let's bring that up. And see here. Oh, it does. It's, well, you can tell it is old. Let me show this to you guys. Those of you that are watching. So let me screw. So this firehouse light bulb has been burning since 1910. Well, the filament's still working. That's pretty cool. So I don't know if they turn it on or turn it off on a regular basis, but it's been hanging there since 1910. That's crazy. All right, that was the only email that came in. That came in just, a few minutes ago from Jim Williams, one of our Ohana here at Geek News Central. So, all right, everyone, let's get out of here. If you have comments on the show, geeknews at gmail.com. And, of course, thanks to GoDaddy for being a sponsor. Definitely use my promo codes. And if you feel the show's appropriate, become an insider. The last couple of shows, I'm not back up to, normal rhythm. I can just feel it. So, got to keep the episodes cranking here. And I do apologize if the show's been a little bit off. But definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been my pleasure to bring you this show. Everyone take care. We'll see you the next time here at Geek News Central. Take care. Aloha. And those of you on YouTube, we'll see you later.